So Melissa, speak to your experience, your partnerships, and I know you're in the process of going into retail. So speak to that. I know locally here in Philly.
Oh, so much, so many things to say because that was a lot. So the corporation and foundation wise, my main thing, I'm like 100% honest, even when it's not appreciated. So for me, it's like I don't enjoy the superficial performative things of, ooh, Black Lives Matter, we're going to send out this email, but we're going to still charge astronomical rates that Black founders can't afford to participate in our programming or, to have a space here or whatever the case is. So for me, it's like, be real about it, right? And be consistent about it. Not just for the month of June because there were just protests, right? Like, what is the long-term commitment and into growing this thing? So for me, that has been about intentional spends and have, especially with like city contracts and larger institutional organizations, like having an intentional spend with MWBE businesses, and again, not in a superficial performative way where we put their name down and really give the work to subcontractors, but where we actually get the capital to these businesses and are able to build capacity, especially when it comes to mentoring relationships with businesses, larger companies partnering with smaller companies, helping them build their capacity along the way, especially for NWB businesses. Because a lot of situations that I've been in, it's been like, who has been here? Who can help guide me through this? You know what I mean? There are very few folks in this space, and then very few, even fewer, who have gotten to the point where I want to be, right? And they might not necessarily have time to be my mentors, but who else is, available in that world that I can learn from? So that's one thing. So the intentional spends, being consistent about how they actually support, and then these initiatives being long term. Like, I know CHOP has a program where they're trying to source products from local skincare businesses. So, and basically evaluating all of their vendor contracts, I think, is a big thing for large corporate institutions. And that's mostly the lack of communication between departments and people. And I have another big issue with people creating situations and spaces and then other people existing in them. Is like the people who created are in their cushy offices or working from home, and then the people on the ground are like in the freezing cold or in extreme heat, and you don't know what their experience is. So no communication between the people creating spaces and the people existing in spaces. So I think that if there's more communication in those realms, then we'll have more relevant programming coming out, more relevant situations created for businesses to actually grow.
Right. No, you bring up some great points, and I love that intentional spend. And unfortunately, it's the catch 22. People say, "Hey, over the next 5 years, we're going to do this," versus we're going to continue this throughout the rest of our business life, right? So it's like this
Right.
time frame of deciding in the next 2 3 years, are we going to continue this or stop this, right? Based upon what you may or may not see in these next 3 years.